Hi, welcome. I have been thinking on talking about this, about how we interact with the community and what is our first steps in the community and our feelings and how we are afraid of doing some things. So I was very happy when I read the motto of this year, the Phosphor-G Europe, the Remember How We Started, because I think it makes really sense to talk about this. Not only for new people, but also to old, not old people, people that have been coming here more often. So we all have a different perspective, but we all can help each other in building a bigger community. But originally, I wasn't going to name this Remember How We Started, just because I didn't think about the title. I thought about talking directly about the imposter syndrome. I don't know if you know what the imposter syndrome is, but it's very easy to understand. It's the opposite of the Dunning-Kruger effect. So the Dunning-Kruger effect is when someone who has no experience or very little experience or knowledge on a subject, and they think they know a lot, so they just go with confidence and talk about things they don't know. Which I don't know if this is something that happens also out of Spain, but in Spain we call that brother-in-law because they always talk about things they don't know. And the imposter syndrome is the opposite. So you have experience, you have knowledge, but you think you are not good enough or you are not experienced or have not the knowledge to talk about something, so you just stay shy, you don't talk, you don't do talks, you don't do workshops because you think you don't deserve it. So it's just, you are maybe on an event, on a conference, and you are having some talk or some drinks with other people, and you think they are great, and then you're an imposter because you are not as good as them. And you think that you don't belong there because they are great people that do great things. You have seen their code, you have seen their, I don't know, their book things or their translations or their tutorials. You think they are very good and you think you are not good enough to be with them. And surprisingly, the imposter syndrome is something that we don't usually talk about, but it's something that happens to a big percentage of communities. I think the rough numbers were like 30 to 40% of people in general have imposter syndrome at some point of their lives, mostly related to work things. If you go to women and POC, this imposter syndrome can go up to 70 or 80% of people having the imposter syndrome. And it's, well, this is XKCD humor thing. There's always an XKCD thing for everything, explaining what the imposter syndrome is, and this is a very good example. So someone says, oh, you are the expert. No, probably there's more people that, oh no, that's true. I'm having imposter syndrome. I am the expert on this field. And there's many types of imposters. One is I'm only going to name 3 because they are the ones that I have seen more in the community. One is the superhero. They think that they see other people doing stuff, so they think they should do as other people, and they have to be everywhere, doing everything. And if someone asks for volunteering, they say, I'm going to do this. And if there's something that needs to be done, they are doing it. So they try to cover more than what they can do. And they just don't realize that, yes, there are other people working on this area, working on this other area, working on this other area, but they are different people. They are not the same person everywhere. So they try to read all the mailing list, not realizing that usually people only read a couple of mailing lists, and then the rest is just like having some peek. They try to be on all the projects, testing, translating, doing tutorials, and you cannot be everywhere. You cannot be a superhero. You just should focus on your area, on your expertise, and try to do things there. You don't have to cover everything. You don't have to be visible everywhere to be a good person, to be someone that deserves to be part of the community and have some, I don't know, visibility. You don't need to be visible everywhere. There's also the perfectionist type, which are people that are very afraid of making mistakes. So for example, if they do a pull request, the pull requests have to be perfect. If someone says that, oh, I found this can be done better this other way, they say, oh, I failed because my code I should have known this, I should have done this, I should have done this better. Maybe I shouldn't have done this pull request because someone find a better way of doing this. But really, we all made mistakes when we do stuff, and we all have someone that comes afterwards and do a patch or improves our code or tutorials or translations or whatever. So don't be afraid of making mistakes, because that's human. We are humans. But this kind of people feel like an imposter because someone comes after them and are able to improve or find bugs or find errors in what they did. And they feel bad, they feel they are not good enough because they think they are the only ones that are making this kind of mistakes. There's also the hard worker. So they think that if something is easy for them, if maybe they did something in 5 minutes, then that thing that they did is not difficult, that's trivial. And they don't realize that maybe they did this in 5 minutes, but for other persons, for me, maybe it takes 3 hours to do this. So they don't think they are good enough because for them, doing this kind of things are easy. So they are always looking for more complex stuff. And maybe then they feel like they are not good enough because they can't, they are trying to do things that are too complex for them. So the hard worker just thinks they are imposters because for them, whatever they do feels really pretty easy. So they think the rest of the people are doing hard work and I'm not doing hard work, so I don't belong here. So some people say that when you talk about the imposter syndrome, it's because you have the Dunning-Kruger and you feel confident. So that's not true. I'm talking about the imposter syndrome because I started with women in tech associations and movement, and I found that there's a lot of need about talking about this. You can see I have imposter syndrome, first because I never say that I'm president of OSGeo unless it's a joke, but also because when I'm going to a conference, instead of sending 1 or 2 proposals, I send like 7, 8, 10 proposals. Why? Because I'm so sure they're going to be rejected that I have to send a lot of proposals to make sure that at least 1 get passed and I can go to that conference. And then I get accepted almost all of the proposals. So it's like, okay, I should have known this because it happens every time I send proposals to a conference, but I still have the imposter syndrome. I think my talks are not good enough, so I always send a lot of proposals and then they get passed, and then I have this conference, I have 2 workshops, 2 talks, and this keynote. I should have cut that, but I don't know how to do that. So I'm going to talk about my story here in OSGeo a bit, so you know that the imposter syndrome is hunting all of us, and that you shouldn't be afraid of making mistakes, because it's part of normal life. So I started with OSGeo through GVSIG on 2010. I went to this GVSIG event that was in Valencia, and it was my first big conference. I had been with in smaller events, but they were not conferences. They were more like meeting of developers and small talks. And well, I had been working with GVSIG like, I don't know, 3, 4 months. I didn't know what half of the buttons did. I didn't know 90% of the code. But okay, my company back then said, you should go there and talk to people and meet people. So I went there to Valencia, and it was amazing. I mean, I saw all these people that were talking about things I didn't know. It was meeting a lot of people that I have seen on the mailing list, fixing stuff, answering questions, and they were there, and I could take a drink with them. And I have to thank, it's a shame he's not here, I have to thank Jorge Sanz, because he was very friendly with me, I have seen them doing, in all the mailing list of OSGeo doing stuff, and I thought he was a very important person. He was a VIP person, and then he was sitting there with me, taking a beer, talking about technological stuff, and I felt that I belonged there somehow. If he wasn't for him and the rest of the Spanish community, which we are very friendly always, I would have just sit on the back of the rooms, taking notes and not talking to anyone. So it helped me a lot. I just saw all these nice people, all these persons that know a lot. I didn't know anything, but they were very friendly to me, so I felt like, okay, I'm just junior here, I'm learning, I'm like a student, but they are fine that I am around, so I felt like I belonged there somehow. But still, I felt that I was no one. I was no one there. I didn't have the knowledge, I didn't have the expertise to be there. I was just a visitor. It wasn't really something that I can do something to improve the community. Then on that same year, I had the combo of having the FOSS4G 2010 nearby in Barcelona. And my company says, okay, this is a unique opportunity because FOSS4G is always everywhere in the world very far away, so we have to go there. So I went to the FOSS4G, and you know the Stendhal syndrome, when you see something so beautiful that you start shaking and you can't even breathe? So it was, my God, a lot of tracks with a lot of knowledge, all the important people, they're important. Well, I thought they were important. All the people I have seen on the mailing list doing things on the repositories, doing things, they were there discussing what they were doing. They wanted to have drinks with me. Take a beer, we are going to discuss about POSGes. Oh, you are doing things with POSGes. And it was amazing. I was like a sponge, getting all the knowledge. And I still thought I didn't belong there. I even thought that, well, it was such a huge event. I thought that the day I can give a talk in that event, I think that that day I can retire, because people have such expertise when they give talks and they say such amazing things that I will never be able to do that. And I thought, okay, the day I give a talk on a FOSS4G, I can retire. That's it. It's finishing my career. I can't go any further. So then, 2 years later, I went to the SIG Libre, which is in Girona every year, which is like the FOSS4G Spain. No, it's the FOSS4G Spain. And I gave a talk there, and it was like, I gave a talk on a FOSS4G. Okay, it's not the main event, but I gave a talk on the FOSS4G, how is this possible? And I was thinking that something must be wrong, but I thought, okay, I'm an imposter. I didn't have the imposter label there, but I thought, okay, I'm kind of an imposter here. But it's a unique opportunity, because once I give this talk, they are not going to call me back again, so I'm going to go there and give that talk and enjoy that. And it was a good experience. And then I thought, okay, but I'm still no one. I mean, they accepted my talk because maybe this is the Spanish one instead of the international one. And it's a talk, which is something that very few people question or ask difficult things. The really tough thing is to give a workshop, and especially in a main FOSS4G. The people that give workshops, they are really, really good, because giving a workshop 4 hours, doing technical stuff, helping people on the fly, that's the really tough thing, right? So on 2013, I went to FOSS4G Nottingham, and they accepted one workshop of GeoNetwork. So I gave a workshop on a main FOSS4G, and it was, I thought, okay, they just accepted this because it's GeoNetwork, because GeoCat is behind me, so they have to accept GeoCat somehow. I thought that. Maybe I don't really belong there. I mean, I gave a workshop, okay. Then the following year, I gave more talks and workshops. Then maybe it's true that I can give talks and workshops. I get to this expertise level. So I started a joke on Twitter saying, okay, then the next thing I'm left is giving a keynote, because I already give talks, I already give workshops. The day I can give a keynote, that's the hard stuff, because that's when people point at you and say, you are saying interesting things, you should go and give a keynote. And I thought, okay, the day I can give a keynote, that day I can retire. And then they were preparing the Boston Phosphor-G for last year. And then Guido sent me a direct message by Twitter saying, oh, do you want to give a keynote? And I thought, so the first thing I thought is, okay, I'm going to start writing, I'm sorry to put you in this position, but I can't give a keynote, I'm not good enough, blah, 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 blah. But before sending that message, I talked to my friends in the Women in Tech group, saying, ha, 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 look at this joke, they say that I can give a keynote. And they say, yeah, but do as you did on the first talk. Do you think you're an imposter? Then go there, enjoy the keynote, say any stupid thing, and if they don't call you back, what's the problem? You already did a keynote, enjoy that. So I went to Boston, I give a keynote. After that, I entered the board of OSGeo. I have given more keynotes. I have given a lot of workshops, a lot of talks. So even if you think that the next step is so far away that you can't do it, just try. I mean, if I'm here, you can be here too. There is no reason you can't be here, maybe in a couple of years. Or maybe it's that we all are someone in our field, in our expertise. We are all someone somehow, and we can share our knowledge, and maybe 90% of what I know, you already know, but for this other 10%, maybe it makes sense that we all try to share as much as we can and try to make the community bigger, because if it's always the same people talking and doing things and contributing, in the end, it's always the same things. So the more people that are trying to contribute, trying to overcome the imposter syndrome and trying to share things, even if they think they don't have anything to share, the bigger and the more diverse the community will be. And a diverse community is a more sustainable community, always. This is a very classic graph. So imagine the whole circle is all the knowledge in the world. So we start on the blue zone, on the center, in school, maybe take some university, some master degree, and then you start working or researching, and then you start going in one direction, and you specialize in one area. And then it's true, there's a lot of knowledge you don't know, which are wide, and you will never know. But there's a lot of people going in other directions that don't know what you know. So never think that your expertise is trivial or is something very simple, because for other people that are advancing in other directions, your knowledge is something they can't understand, or it's very difficult for them to understand, or you can do things faster than them or better than them. So how can we overcome this imposter syndrome? And what kind of things we can do to help others to overcome this imposter syndrome? Well, the first thing we should do is compare ourselves with people in other areas. And I'm not talking about, okay, go and talk to a history teacher. No, I'm talking about if you're working with QGIS, talk with people in GeoServer. If you are working in GeoServer, talk with people in GeoNetwork. Because you will realize that things that you do daily, normally, very easily, and that are easy for you, trivial for you, for other people, they're new. They don't know that. So that helps you comparing with other people, that helps you see that there are gaps that they don't have, things that you don't know, but there are things that they don't know. So it makes you feel less like an imposter. I may not know anything about, I don't know, I know very little about analysis of geospatial data, but you can ask me about metadata. I know about metadata. Maybe Paul knows more than me about metadata, but that's fine, right? It's not a problem about that. Other thing you can do is compare yourself with your past self. because you are always learning, you are always getting more experience, you are always knowing more and more. So if you check your source code from 6 months ago, you don't have to go 2 years ago, just 6 months ago, you will see that you have learned how to improve it, how to do it better. So that helps you understand that you are advancing, that you are getting better and better. So that means that you are learning things that you can share with other people. That helps you feel less like an imposter. Another thing, it took me 2 years to get my first scholar, but if you mentor someone, that will also help you understand that the things you do that you think they are very easy, that they don't deserve to be shown, for other people, they don't know that. So if you mentor someone, you realize that there's a lot of things that you know, that you can share, that you can contribute, and if nobody asks you about that, if nobody puts you in a position where they don't know this and you know this, maybe you don't realize you can share that with the rest of the community. Of course, participate in events, meet other people, share a beer, because maybe I have interest in whatever you do, or you find other people that work in the same area but slightly different, so you can cover gaps together of things you don't know each other. And it also makes you feel part of the community, even if you think you are not good enough to be drinking beers with, I don't know, the important people. Important is here with a lot of quotes, because they are not important because they are more visible. There are a lot of important people that are invisible. But for newcomers, it looks like people that are everywhere are the important guys, and they are the ones that I have to meet because they have all the knowledge in the world. That's not usually true. So if you participate in events, you will see that we are all flesh and bones, that we make mistakes. We will share mistake stories, and you will realize that you are not that far away from the rest of the people. And of course, if you're not perfect, that's fine. If you make mistakes, if you introduce bugs in your code, that's fine. We are not here to, we are not gods that are going to say, okay, go to hell because you did this wrong. No. We all make mistakes, that's fine. We are a community, we help each other, we can go each other together further if we help each other. It's not a matter of being perfectionist, it's not a matter of being everywhere and doing everything. Just do your part, try to do it the best you can, try to help people around you, and then we all go further together. And it's not only for newcomers, but also for people that have been here more time. Sometimes I have seen people that have been working in a community for several years, and then they kind of stop doing things because they start to think that people expect too much from them. We don't really expect anything from anyone. We all know this is 90% volunteer work. We all know this is something that we are all putting together, and sometimes you will do more, sometimes you will do less, but we are not expecting perfection at any point. I don't need you to be Paul Ramsey to give a workshop about PostGIS. I don't need you to be Jeff McKenna to do a talk about map server. That's fine. You can give a PostGIS workshop about the things you know, and there will be a lot of people in that workshop that don't know that things and will find your workshop perfect, and that's it, and they will learn a lot. And another important thing that I should have mentioned on events, at least for me it was very helpful when I was new on OSGeo, that I had a very friendly group that tried to make me feel comfortable. So if you see someone that is, I don't know, a bit shy, a bit on a corner, not talking to anyone, try to approach them. Or if you are the one that is a bit on a corner, try to approach the rest. We are not going to say, no, you cannot sit here. Or no, I don't want to talk to you. We are people, we are all humans. So we are here to have fun and business, to business. But we are all here to have fun, so just share your knowledge and your expertise. even if it is smaller. And that's it.
Thank you very much, Maria. It was a very nice presentation.
Thank you.